You starting?
Yep. Good evening. We are Mira and Mark Halpert from 3D Learner. We're glad to have you this evening. For some of you, school has just started. We hope you've all survived these first couple of days. And we want to welcome you. If you have any questions, any comments, please don't hesitate to let us know either in the comment box, or if you're watching this on replay, please don't hesitate to get a hold of us. For the last number of weeks, we've posted these brief, hopefully informational sessions on our Facebook page, which we have some difficulties with tonight, on our YouTube channel, and certainly on Twitter. We would love to be able to have your input. We've talked about outrageous success, how to plan for it. We've talked about what your mindset needs to be. We've talked about going back to school. Tonight, we're going to talk a lot about assessing for outrageous success with a balanced focus on strengths, challenges, and tailoring a solution. Take it away, Mark.
Okay. So our approach is really focused on the end result that you would want. What is it that would represent outrageous success to you? And for a lot of our clients, that includes reading comprehension. At first, it doesn't necessarily include igniting a love for learning, but it's one of the things that we stress and really helps a child. We improve attention, unlike other programs that might work on accommodations or work on, the doctors who recommend medication. We actually use a natural and effective way to both assess and improve attention. Executive function seems to be the rage. Almost every single one of our students has some combination of working memory, processing speed, attention, organization, and planning challenges. Okay. And then there are a lot of things that people don't necessarily focus on, which is sequencing, evaluation skills, understanding small words, recognizing words, all the things that are assumed by so many, but often don't exist. And then the really important things, the self-esteem, reducing anxiety, and one that we're seeing more and more is kids in fight or flight. And Mary, you want to elaborate on that?
Well, the truth is that kids, we've had a lot of turmoil these last couple of years. So part of the situation is having these kids truly understand what's going to be happening this next year. So they're already coming in with a little bit of anxiety and not knowing what, let alone teachers, schools, everything is so much up in the air, whether you are in private school, public school, charter schools, even homeschool, that everything is in so much turmoil that your brain and body are not necessarily in sync. And so it's really important. And one of the things that we have found that have been so beneficial is having parents, an integral part of our program, but having a whole mind, body piece be an enormous part of what's going on when we're working with kids.
Okay. The other thing is to recognize the difference between 3D Learner and more traditional efforts. As one principal said, why don't we use the assessment that 3D Learner uses? It was really effective. And the guidance counselor said, because schools are required to find out what's wrong with a child, and 3D Learner has the luxury of working on tailoring a solution to meet the child's needs.
Right. So we've been doing this for 25 years now, and trying to find a really holistic, positive assessment for kids has been something that we've strived for a really long time. We have used the structure of intellect. It is a very holistic, very looking at kids' strengths, kids' challenges. What we're here to be able to tell you is that there are ways to be able to strengthen the areas where kids are not as strong or weak, as you will. And what we've prided ourselves on is that we identify and use children's strengths to be able to get at the areas where they are not as strong. And all of those areas can be strengthened, whether it's working memory, whether it's visual processing, whether it is attention. All of these areas, when you have a holistic and integrated approach, it's amazing how kids can succeed.
And then when we look at things like attention, very often parents, one person thinks the child has attention, one person thinks they don't. We use something called the interactive metronome, which measures how well a child matches a beat. And just 2 weeks ago, we had a case where a young lady came and she was doing a great job for about 3 minutes. And then she lost it. She just couldn't even come close. And her father, who was the one who was contending that she really didn't have an attention issue, said, "Oh my God, she just lost focus after less than 4 minutes." And it's really interesting. And the other thing is with executive function, we've started using Mindprint this year, which is a terrific tool to measure executive function, both because it assesses where kids are really strong, where they're weak, and for kids who are taking SATs in high school or ACTs, it says which test is better. It predicts a score, and then it predicts a target score for what's possible if the child gets
and
the right
that's
help.
available for kids from 3rd grade on. And we can actually do it remotely, which is really remarkable. So it's really quite a positive experience. It's a little bit different. It's looking at different kinds of things that kids are not necessarily used to being assessed for.
And then we look at eye tracking, how eyes track when they're reading. And we also look at evaluation skills. Our kids tend to be incredibly creative, but they often make bad decisions. And people say, well, you got to use phonics, but we look at, can they first recognize words and understand what those small words mean? Those words, what if, but, however, except, that change the meaning of a sentence, but aren't really decodable per se.
Right. Where we know phonemic awareness is vitally important, and having kids understand what sounds letters make and identifying letters, identifying sounds, it is absolutely essential. And it is, we actually have found that we're building words with kids, and they have found it to be using their hands on, using our patented approach that we've now done for 25 years. It's, the kids are really excited. We're just starting with a 4th grader this last week, and she was like, "Oh, this is just so much fun," and how she looks for patterns and sees sequencing. So more than that, I think, Mark, we need to sort out about how to be able to help kids get excited about learning again. I think that's been probably everybody's, had a lot.
It's not only Mira's strong suit, but it's our whole team's strong suit. Mm-hmm. Because what you realize is so many kids are turned off to learning. They've shut down on math in record numbers. Okay?
Right.
And part of our team's, the whole process we use at 3D Learner is it's just as important to ignite that love for learning as anything else. Because, and we put kids on what I refer to as a chocolate diet. Mira loves chocolate, and so do I. But chocolate diet meaning have the kids read stuff they love, because you can spiral up when you're reading stuff that you like. Right. And then the last thing to do on part of our assessment process is there's something called primal reflexes. Mary, you want to allude?
Well, it's what I've talked about before about brain and body working together. Our children today truly need to be able to have a core. And when they are in this fight or flight, their body goes back to our to our infant reflexes that are supposed to be extinguished by the time kids are 1. But when they are in such a state of anxiety and even minimal, they start to be able to go back, and our brains and bodies are pretty miraculous. So we've found that using movement, using train for reflexes, trained in brain gym, trained in all kind of laughter yoga. We're trained in all kinds of different brain body integration pieces, where even when kids learning mindfulness, being able to make sure that they breathe, all of that is an integral part of what we need, what we know we need to both assess, but what we need to work on with their kids.
And just, there are a couple of things that have changed in this world. And one is kids have been sleeping on their backs, which is a challenge. And 2, kids got up and walked quicker and quicker, and they haven't gone through those steps required to both extinguish what we call these primal reflexes and develop a strong core. So a lot of what we do is assess whether those problems exist, and everything we assess for, we can improve. That's kind of a critical part of what makes our whole process different. We go from beginning to end while partnering with other professionals where needed. And people say, what do you do? And just, we do the structure of intellect assessment, which is developed in 1943 to help pilots figure out which young men would become good pilots. And then Dr. Guilford, who developed it, said, I can do the same thing for kids. I can figure out how they learn best, where they're strong, where they're weak.
Dr. Maker with, right.
Okay. And Dr. Meeker, okay. And then we use the mind print executive function assessment that highlights strengths and weaknesses, okay. And again, when it comes to things like working memory, processing speed, so often they're accommodated for. We actually have both the hand and the glove, the assessment that shows where the issues are, and the treatment plan that allows us to deal with those issues. We have a visograph that lets us see how the eyes track when reading, M-Wave, which shows, I'll just say to a kid, what's it like when you're, if I gave you 50 math problems to do, and all of a sudden his heart rate goes from 80 to 135. And the parents go, how did that happen? I said, I didn't even give the kid a math problem. Right? And probably one of the things that's most important, and only our most experienced staff members give the assessments, we learn a great deal from the process about what the kid is, because we're looking at the kid from both an assessment and an improvement standpoint. So we're looking at him and saying, okay, how can we connect with the kid? Where's he really or she really struggling? And then how can you help him succeed? And the whole feedback session is based on both understanding and tailoring a solution.
Mark mentioned just a little bit about the staffing. We are blessed to have the most amazing staff that's experienced. It's not looked at a 30-hour video of how to be able to train a process. We're truly experienced educators and professionals that have worked with thousands and thousands of kids, where our focus being on these right brain learners who some of them are actually really good decoders, but their comprehension or their language is really lacking, and their processing skills, their memory, all of these kinds of things with movement are things that are desperately needed for them to be able to be successful, where again, we are training you as the parent to be an integral part of the solution. And we get to live with them lifelong. So it's really important that you learn how they learn best, whether it's like you or whether it's different than you. But it is, I think we've worked with parents who referred someone who their child is now in their late 20s about how we were gratified to be able to know it was, not only did we help with their learning, but how we helped that relationship, because it was just the parents, we've all been there. We know how frustrating this is. And we know that things come out of our mouth, probably, or actions that we're not so excited about. The kids are not choosing to learn this way. They are not choosing not to be able to be successful. They want to be, they are goal oriented. And we'll talk about goals actually next week.
And if you want to set up a conversation, okay, you can just call us at 561-361-7595.
7495.
7495, right. I got one of these problems with numbers now. Or go to 3dlearner.com/book now to schedule a time. And if you're seeing this online, and understand our philosophy is way different. People talk about success at schools. They focus and say you can't make more than a year's gain at one time. It's most important, especially with all these executive function issues, to put in the right accommodations. Okay, but to us, outrageous success looks a child gaining 2 or more years in reading comprehension, igniting that love for learning, getting those accommodations in place, and building strong relationship with teachers, building those executive function skills. Okay, and also we work on, as we had a student today who was a baseball player, and the father said, the fact that you connected with him on baseball sparked his interest. We understand that. Kids aren't always putting school as a top priority, but if you can connect the two, then it's that much better.
Right.
And you also want to build self-esteem and have you know that you made a huge difference in your kid's life.
Right.
And these are just a few examples. We'll go into great detail, but we've helped kids who've been in dyslexia programs for 2 years, stuck at the kindergarten level, make 2 years gain in 4 months, another year's gain in another 3 months, helped a third grader whose private school told him to go elsewhere. He made 3 years reading comprehension gain in a year. We helped a fifth grader who was reading at the first grade level, despite the parents investing $34,000 in a competitive program. And we helped the young lady go from the first grade level to the fifth grade level. That took a little longer. That took 6 months. She doubled her reading speed. She took her homework time down, and her mother just had to get used to the fact that the kid could now do things independently. And we've helped rising ninth grader who was comprehending at the fifth grade level and reading at only 200 words per minute, improve to the ninth grade level, improves reading speed by 80%, and wind up with full college scholarships. So again, our goal, stress to outrageous success. And one of the things about our conversations with parents is they're really, especially at the beginning, it focused on identifying your child's strengths and challenges with a focus on how your child learns best, because so many of the kids learn best when they see and experience information. Everybody wants to change that. We want to capitalize on that. And then we shift the focus to what would success look like. And then we explore next steps, which maybe just to help you get an assessment, because we help parents get assessments at public schools a lot faster than others, or we go to an assessment for success. And again, you can either call us at 561-361-7495 or go to 3dlearner.com/book now to schedule a mutually agreeable time. And lastly, if you haven't been to our website at 3dlearner.com, you can go there, download our strengths and challenges overview, visit our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has a host of videos designed specifically for parents. And join us next week for goal setting for outrageous success, because our goal is to help your child go from stress to outrageous success in months, not years.
Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful evening. We hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.